After the Hill Country floods, where campers and counselors lost their lives, camp safety became a national conversation. In seemingly record time, Texas legislators passed SB 1 to address safety measures for children's camps. We're back with Rania Mankarious, CEO of Crime Stoppers Houston, which also focuses on several measures to protect children. You've been working on, as we mentioned, camp safety for several years before this tragedy happened. All right, Texas Senate Bill 1 to improve safety. We all know how bills kind of work. It's very sluggish.
Yes,
but there was such overwhelming shock and concern for what had happened, and there were the pictures and the loss of life of those kids that they basically passed SB 1 a couple of months after
in the summer. During a special session.
So Heaven's 27 Camp Safety Act, signed into law September 5th, 2025. It mandates strict safety regulations for youth camps and requires several things, and we'll go through that. But number one, it's also, they call the Training and Accountability Act. So state-approved emergency plans required. So just take us through some of those things.
And first of all, I want to thank those parents who got up and testified, and we watched those testimonies. And
heart-wrenching.
It was, my entire desk, as I said, was covered with tears, and just we were praying for them. But yes, basically what they did was they did a full overhaul of what was lacking, and as you said, training and accountability, emergency plans. What we discovered, and or what was brought to light, was the fact that the camps didn't really have true emergency plans that were vetted, that were tested with the students, that were filed in the state, that law enforcement understood, that local emergency management understood. So for example, you said that if your emergency plan includes children should have a walkie-talkie in their cabins, the counselors, well, did they have a walkie-talkie? Could they communicate? No, they didn't. So what is your emergency plan? It can't just be typewritten on your desk and filed in a drawer. It has to be tested.
And can it be executed? Like, are the batteries fresh?
Yes,
I mean, even things like that,
exactly.
right?
Think of a school. We now make sure that the law enforcement actually has a floor plan, an up-to-date floor plan of the school. So if they have to arrive on scene, they know where to go. So camps have to be structured the same way.
And you talk about structure. It's a state-approved emergency plan, not this camp has that plan, that camp has that plan. It's uniform.
And local law enforcement understands it, that they understand where the kids will go, reunification, what the paths will be, how they'll communicate. Those are really important, and we have them with other institutions that care for kids.
Right. All right, severe weather and evacuation planning mandated. I think I remember when I was at Camp Flajita like 100 years ago that as soon as we dropped our bags and things, they told us if you hear an alarm, you're to come out the door and meet here. And that was way back then. Okay, so mandating that. Annual plan updates required. Staff training and campers safety orientation, which I was kind of talking about.
And CPR training and all the things, because it wasn't, when we said we studied camps starting 10 years ago, one of the things we did discover is that they self-regulate, self-police, self-govern. The camps weren't uniform in the way that they managed training of staff, safety plans, and all the different various aspects. Think of what you're doing at a camp. It's not just about sleeping there and eating there and showering there. It's about doing activities that could technically be considered dangerous, hunting and ropes courses and scuba diving. Who is doing a scuba diving class for a camp group? Are they trained? Are they licensed? Who are they? And so all of these things were reviewed. These incredible 26 families took a deep dive into every aspect of camps, and when you speak to them, they'll say, our children should die as heroes that changed camp forever for every child going from here on out. And they did that, and there's more to be done now. We want to make sure that what they fought for and what they stood for has the full robust engine of the law behind it and enforceability behind it, because again, camps tend to be a statutory outlier.
And there are so many different changes that had to take place because there was not a roadmap there of different things. You mentioned, the training of staff. Who are you hiring?
Deborah. That was a huge issue for us. We even went and said, camps, and they talk about the financial burden of running a camp, and I'm not a forensic accountant, but I do know that a lot of the counselors are students. They pay to even go, but they work at the camp. Then you do have counselors from outside. What types of background checks are done on these counselors?
And as we know, we discovered even with teachers, like if your background check could be something you're checking within that county, well, they might not live in that county, and so therefore you don't know what they may have done on 2 counties over or 3 states over, right?
And that's what brought us to camp safety years ago, is a counselor that had a horrible record and ended up sexually assaulting kids at a prominent Texas camp. But not only that, what if you're coming from out of the country? We were simply saying, you know, what if we limit camp counselors on J-1 visas? What if we just limit that? Because we can't vet them.
Yeah.
So all of these things need to be in place. Again, if you hear this as punishing a camp, with all the love and the respect in the world, something's not right. This is to protect the children.
Yeah,
That's what this is.
And the biggest shift here, the scale of this reform, is, you say, a shift from reactive oversight to preventive safety models that you mentioned earlier.
And isn't that what we want? The Department of State Health Services oversees camps. They've got to have power to make sure that these camps are vetted, that they've challenged themselves in every situation, that the people employed and working there, volunteering there, know exactly what they're doing, and that there's ramifications if the camp falls short. Again, that's nothing negative. Licensing has to have teeth to it. It can't just be a rubber stamp that's given annually. And so all of these different things are not just been now put on paper thanks to Heavens 27 and these incredible families, but we have to now make sure that they're followed.
Yeah, all right.